William, look at this bowl of sweet cherries.
Oh, Judy, do give me one of those sweet little things.
No. But we do have something sweet for you, a new episode of Garden Time.
Welcome to Garden Time. And Judy, look over there.
What? William. Well, you know, it is fruit season, and later in the show, we'll be at a cherry orchard talking all about cherries.
Also on today's show, we are going to be talking about forks and corks.
But coming up first, how to change your sprinklers. Well, you know, we're getting into the heat of the summer and we want our plants to look great. I'm with Steve Carper from the Regional Water Providers Consortium with tips for all of us. So we really want to make our gardens and our lawns look great. So what kind of tips do you have for us?
Well, you know, things have really progressed in the last few years in terms of technology for the yard, and there's some really great new controllers out there that make things really simple at a great price point and use the weather conditions to make scheduling adjustments. But if you're not quite ready to make that leap in terms of your budget, there's also always great simple adjustments that you can do to your sprinkler systems to make sure that what you have is performing really well. So we'll talk about that.
All right, and you know, sometimes those systems are on in the middle of the night or early in the morning, so really we need to be out in our gardens and seeing what's going on.
That's exactly right. So, you know, once or twice a year, turn your system on and walk through and observe how things are performing. And we're going to talk about some really, again, typical things that you want to make adjustments for to help improve.
Let's see.
So one of the first things you want to do, sprinklers are out in the landscape and things change, and so they can tilt and get out of alignment, which then means maybe the water's not going to spray where you really intended it to. So there's some simple things that you can do in terms of correcting that. A handy little trowel, dig around the side of the sprinkler, pull out just enough dirt to let you sort of manipulate the head to get it basically vertical with the grade. Then the other thing that you can do, if the water is not necessarily spraying the right direction, you can simply, while it's performing, grab a hold of this stem and gently give it a twist to make sure that things are aligned properly. And then, depending on the type of nozzle that you have, you can also make very simple adjustments to the radius, how far the water is going. You really ideally want water from each sprinkler nozzle to reach the other sprinkler next to it. We call it head-to-head coverage.
Okay.
So for actually this type of head, this is called a multi-stream rotator. There's a special type of a tool that you flip over the top here, and you can sort of just twist it clockwise, counterclockwise, and that will adjust, again, the arc to get, for example, a half circle or a quarter circle, whatever it is. If you're spraying your lawn, you just want to kind of turn the left side to align with the left border,
right,
and then you put the tool on and open it or constrict it to align with the right side.
Right.
And then, for example, if my sprinkler is spraying too far or not far enough, then there's a little screwdriver tip that fits into the top of that nozzle, and turning it to the right is going to constrict the flow, kind of the old righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
Yeah, oh, good.
So turning it to the right
Same
will
thing.
sort of tighten things down, will constrict the radius to a smaller throwing radius, and turning it to the left will open it up as far as it will go. There's generally 3 types of nozzle. Greater capacity to go farther and farther. It's usually 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 series sort of a thing. And then also another thing, if say for example you're watering an area and the plants have gotten mature, they don't need as much water or perhaps any more supplemental water, you can simply tighten that down all the way and essentially shut this sprinkler off without having to necessarily dig it up, cap it off, and do more work than you're comfortable doing.
Right.
So that's another thing to really keep in mind. A third thing we want to talk about is perhaps you don't have this really efficient type of nozzle.
Oh, sure, I've seen these. These are the older type.
Yeah, so it's really a simple upgrade, and you know, when the sprinkler is up like this and you can sort of get your fingers down in there and lift it up when it's not performing or operating. It can be a little bit tricky, but simply
it's that easy, right?
just turn it to the left. It's usually just on there finger tight. Pull that nozzle out, and then you would grab the other nozzle, and it has its own filter in there, and that screen just keeps the orifice from getting clogged up when it's operating. Drop it down in there. If you're buying new ones, you just want to make sure if these threads are male or female that that the nozzles that you get are
compatible.
Built the same way. Screw it back on there, and it's really handy. You can sort of see that the nozzle indicates what the pattern is. So that helps you, once you have it back in place, to sort of turn things to the right alignment. So again, you're spraying the water where it needs to go.
So Steve, those are great tips about changing the heads, but what if we want to go to that next level of great irrigation?
Well, there's another thing you can do. You may have noticed in the last few weeks in the middle of summer, we've had some significant effective rainfall along with some thunder and lightning. A great tool that you can use, and it's really effective for times like that when we're getting, effective rainfall. That's the key thing to think about. Plus, summer and fall months when we might need to be doing some supplemental watering, but we also still are getting some effective rainfall. You can add a rain sensor to your typical irrigation controller. And what this does, it has some discs inside here that when effective, not just a little sprinkle, that's not going to really help your plants much, but it really gets in there and saturates this little disc, and you can sort of set it to 1/8, 1/4, 1/2 inch, whatever is right for your system. And what it will do is basically inhibit the operation of the irrigation system without you having to remember to go turn it off.
Oh, that's great.
When these discs dry out, after 24 hours, 36 hours, that's kind of where the setting comes in. Then it resumes functionality and you're back off taking good care of your plants.
Ah, that is great. And then what if that's like way over my head? I mean, that's just, I can't do that. I'm nervous about it.
If any of the things we're talking about today you're not comfortable taking that on yourself, by all means hire a landscape contractor that's licensed, bonded, insured in the state of Oregon to do irrigation work. That's really key. If you can, get a couple bids to do the work that you're interested in, talk to them, and then trust your instincts on who to go with.
And really, you have so much information on your website,
That's
so
right.
tell us that website again.
So regionalh2o.org, we've got some basic information that can help you select a landscape contractor, so check out the website and give us a call if you have any questions.
Well, we love having Steve and his crew out here to always tell us about tips. So for more information, go to gardentime.tv and we can click you over to that website and you can really water effectively this season. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good, fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature blooming advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
Well, it is cherry season, and I am at one of the best cherry places. I'm at Cherry Country, right outside of Salem and Rickrell with Celeste. And Celeste, this is so wonderful. We've came out a couple years ago, but we really need to see you again and see all about your cherries.
Oh, thank you guys so much. We're so happy to have you guys out here today.
Well, we just love teaching people about cherries. And about how many trees do you have here?
We have about 1/2 acre right here in our lower orchard. Our main orchard is up the hill, and then we also lease other orchards in the area. But all of our cherries come from the Willamette Valley. Down here in our 1/2 acre, we have 8 different varieties that are growing in this small little area.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's wonderful because having that diversity allows the trees to be able to cross-pollinate each other, as well as gives us cherries that come on and are ripe throughout our season. So we try and stretch our season from 2 weeks to actually more like 4 weeks, 5 or 6 if we're lucky, but usually it's about a 4-week season.
And this cherry is right here is the Royal Anne?
Yes, it is a Royal Anne cherry tree. Yes, it is the heirloom variety of our area, and it's a blush cherry, so it's a light colored skin inside and flesh inside the cherry as well, but it has wonderful fresh cherry flavors, so it's a nice sweet and tart cherry.
And so can you give us a couple tips here? Maya's helping out here. And so give us some tips on how to do it if we're going to a U-pick.
So one of the things with cherries when you're picking them is it's really easy to accidentally pick off this entire fruit spur off of the branch. And a lot of people will reach up and just grab the whole thing. Instead, what you want to do is reach up and push on the stem. So when you kind kind of lightly push towards that fruit spur, it just pops right off and you get the stem with the cherry and not the entire fruit spur. Because this fruit spur is also our fruit for next season. So we don't want to pick all of that.
Sure.
And it damages the fruit. We might never get fruit again on this branch if we pick off all the fruit spurs.
Oh, of course.
And so what we do is we just reach up, push on that stem, and it just comes right off.
Now, Celeste, there's another method of picking, and show us that one.
Yes, this is called the milking method. And basically what we do with some of our fruit is we just pull it right off the stems. And this way we don't have to take another step when we want to pit our cherries and removing the stems. And when cherries are ripe, they will just pop right off of that stem. So
it makes a lot faster. My gosh.
Exactly, exactly. It's a lot faster, easier to eat, but much easier to pit.
Sure. And you offer U-pick sometimes.
Yes, we do. So check our website and we'll let you know what's ripe and available and when we're offering our U-pick.
And so for the homeowner, we have trees at our house. What do you recommend for our garden trees?
I think it's really important to make sure that you have trees that have a pollinator. They're either a self-pollinating tree or you have another tree to pollinate, because if they're not getting pollinated, you're just not going to get your fruit.
Sure.
I also think it's really important to encourage the native bees and maybe even bring in some mason bees in your area to help with pollination, as well as irrigation, and making sure your trees have enough airflow around them so that they're not having issues with problems with funguses getting into the tree and affecting them.
So really good pruning, correct pruning, that
Yes,
kind of thing.
pruning
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, don't be afraid to prune. It's really important that you prune your trees and encourage the branches that are the healthiest to be able to grow fruit.
Right.
And you'll get better fruit on fewer branches than you would if you had too many branches producing fruit. So you actually will get better fruit that way too.
So I have to ask this question. You have all these trees, all this fruit, and so what do you do with it?
Well, the majority of the year, when we're not picking our fresh cherries, we're drying cherries and chocolate covering them. So that's what we do year round, in addition to jams and jellies and juice as well.
So we're going to go up to the retail store and see the end product of all these cherries. So Celeste, now we're up in the retail store and the processing area. So you actually process up right here.
Yes, we do, right on site. Our fresh cherry season is pretty short, being about 4 weeks long, but the rest of the year we're processing our cherries. So we take our fresh picked cherries, pit them immediately pretty much, then we freeze them, so year round we're using the freshest possible fruit that we can with the most flavor possible. And so what we do is we start drying the cherries, we also do jams and jellies, and then the most important step, we chocolate cover the dried cherries and make our signature products with them.
That is wonderful. And that machine, the pitter, is so cool, and we can see that process. But you're offering small batches that you could pit them for us?
Yes, we are. For the first time ever, we're offering small pitting batches. So you can go to our website, thecherrycountry.com, and find out more information about that and how you can sign up to pit your own cherries.
And then also, we can also do mail order there?
Yes, absolutely. We ship year round, and it's the best place to find our products as well as any information about the specials we're offering.
And we can come to the store. We can drive out here too.
Absolutely. You're welcome to come out to our farm store, see how we make things. We're also offering tours as well. And you can try all of the products and buy them right here from us.
Oh, that is nice. You know, it's a wonderful drive. We drove out here today, and it's just a wonderful, beautiful drive out into the agricultural area of Oregon. So if you need any more information, please go to gardentime.tv. You can click over to their website, but you need to come out here because it's just very tasty. Thanks so much, Celeste.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
When I came to Capital Auto Group the first time, I was looking at a WRX. Of course, never financing a car before. I was very limited when it came to, putting money down and stuff like that, and they were able to really help me. And they worked diligently for 2 days, and they eventually got my payments to where they were reasonable and I could actually buy the car. They actually cared about me and what I wanted, not what they wanted. At Capital Subaru, I got it my way on the Parkway.
At Sagao Nursery, we talk about going beyond the ordinary. Whether it's new and exciting varieties of plants and shrubs, to our wide selection of unique Japanese maples, or our great collection of tools, garden products, and Asian-themed gifts, we can help transform your garden into something extraordinary. Come in and let us make your garden a showcase. Segowa Nursery, growing beyond the ordinary.
Well, what a great joy for me to be standing in the beautiful Oregon garden, and I'm here with Lindsay. And Lindsay, there is a really fun, exciting weekend coming up. So let's jump right in with something called Corks and Forks?
Forks and Corks. Yes, we have that on Saturday night, which is going to start off actually 5 to 6 p.m. with an art pre-sale. So that is a chance to see the art before anyone else is here and purchase it if you would like. We'll also have a wine tasting during that time. And then from 7 to 9 p.m. we'll have the Forks and Corks dinner. And that will be a 5-course meal with wine paired with every meal.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Judy and I are going to actually be at that
You are,
event.
yeah. So that's an opportunity to meet you guys
Right.
too.
And then the next day, though, which we will also be at this event, is a really cool art festival again. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so our Art in the Garden event will be starting that morning at 10 a.m. And you can go to our visitor center, and it's general garden admission pricing, so it's not anything more than usual. But you will get a lot more for your money that day, because the first 50 people will get a complimentary mimosa, and you will have a chance to interact with the artists and get to know a little bit more about their art installations and how they make them. We'll also be starting a passport series this year where you can get your passport signed at each station and be entered for a dinnerscape giveaway.
Wow.
And that includes an overnight stay at the Oregon Garden Resort, a bottle of wine, and 2 dinner entrees.
But you do have to fill out the passport completely, right? So all of the places have to be signed in.
Yep, so all you have to do is walk around to each artist and kind of hear what their installation process is, and yeah.
Well, you know, we've been at this before, and this event is really interesting because when you see a beautiful piece of art, you really want to understand the system behind how they got to there. So it's really fun meeting them and interacting with them.
You get to learn about their process.
Okay, Lindsay, just for my own clarification, people can purchase the art at Forks and Corks, the pre-dinner on that night before, but then they can also purchase it Saturday as well?
Yes, so they can purchase during our pre-sale from 5 to 6 p.m. before the Fork and Cork dinner. Otherwise, they can also come to the duration of our Art in the Garden event, which begins that Sunday morning and goes through September 22nd. So anytime in that time frame, they are able to purchase the art.
So Lindsay, you know, I'm delighted that we're also going to be taking time now, and I'm going to go walk over and talk to one of the 8 artists that will be here.
Yes.
Okay, so now I am with Susan Wheeler, and Susan, you are one of the 8 artists here at the gardens, and you're doing glass work, I see. So first of all, I just wanted to right off ask you, as an artist, these are amazingly and beautifully made.
Thank you.
What was the motivation? When did you go, glass, that's what I'm going to work with?
Well, I'll have to take you just real quickly back. When my sister and I were young, we visited Disneyland in California with our grandparents. We went into a little glass blowing shop, and we each got a piece of blown glass. I got an octopus, I believe. That was my first encounter with glass.
And you loved that?
I loved it. I held on to it for a long time. I couldn't tell you where it is now. But many years later, I had children, and they were growing, and I just took, out of a whim, I took a stained glass class just because I had always admired it.
Right.
And I went into business with stained glass, designing windows for homes. But then my husband said, why don't you try a fused glass class?
Right.
So that's where you use your kilns to heat the glass up to a certain temperature so they can change shape. And I did, and just never looked back.
And that's what motivated you.
Yes.
So then, when it comes to things like, an art is so specific about, you know, color choices and blends and mixtures, what is it that you find that inspires you in those kind of things, the coloring and stuff?
Well, I'm a gardener.
Right.
And I love just about any kind of plant, and floral or otherwise. And that's really helped me, combining colors and sometimes design.
Right.
And just, there's such an array of colors, the glass that I use.
Right.
I buy it in sheets, and then I cut it down to shapes before it gets fused.
Well, you know, nobody compares and contrasts colors better than nature herself.
Exactly.
So she's very helpful that way.
It is so wonderful.
And I have to say that even just looking at some of your artwork, it is well made, and it is really going to be very sustainable
Yes.
outside as well. It's not
They
just
are,
for inside.
yes. Both the garden stakes and the glass chains that I create are very durable inside or out. And I always tell my customers, if you ever have a problem, if something fell and broke, let me know. I'll take care of it for you.
Well, you know what? There you have it. And this is just one of the 8 artists that will be here. So for more information, as always, we invite you to go to gardentime.tv, gather up all that information, and be sure and say hello to Susan when you get out here. Thank you so much,
You're
Susan.
so welcome. Thank you very much.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
Do you want to be green? Do the easy stuff first. Hi, I'm Sarah from Portland Nursery. The U.S. House Energy and Commerce Committee says for every dollar spent on a shade tree, you can save $5 on cooling, blocking the penetrating heat in the summer and allowing the warm rays through in the winter. Dollar for dollar, there's no better energy and money saver than a good, deciduous shade tree. Portland Nursery's professionals can help you make the perfect selection. Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
In the summer months, water use can double or triple due to outdoor watering. Here are 3 simple tips to help save water and money this summer. Set your sprinklers so that they're watering your lawn and plants and not the pavement. Water early in the morning or later in the evening when temperatures are cooler. Group plants with similar water, shade, and sun needs together. For more water conservation information and tips, check out the Regional Water Providers Consortium at www.conserveh2o.org.
Standard TV and appliance store-wide sale going on now. Huge price cuts at Standard on appliances and Simmons Beauty Rest mattresses.
Save big on a stainless steel Samsung French door refrigerator, only $10.99. Get an LG front-load washer with steam, now only $6.34. Or get a Whirlpool stainless steel dishwasher for just $4.49. Plus, get a Simmons Beauty Rest Queen mattress for only $3.99.
Hurry, the store-wide sale ends Sunday. Standard TV and appliance.
Well, Garden Time loves to find new places to get plants, and I'm with Lucile Whitman from Whitman Farms in West Salem. And Lucile, we've had so much fun. Thank you, and thank you for sharing some of your favorites.
Yes, yes. Well, it was a pleasure to me to share them. I mean, this is a very small amount of what I showed you.
It is not. And so she said humbly she's called the mulberry queen. So we have a mulberry here.
I call myself the mulberry queen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look at this fruit. You know, you cannot find mulberries anywhere. So this is beautiful. Tell us about it.
Well, it's a dwarf mulberry. It's very precocious. You see that it's got fruit as a very small little tree. This is only 2 years old, well, maybe 3, and it's full of fruit. And so it will, as it gets bigger, it'll have more and more fruit, and the fruit is totally delicious.
And full sun?
Full sun.
Wonderful.
Full sun. Yep.
And this time of year, so early July, mid-July.
Mid-July, they're all ripe.
Wonderful.
They're wonderful. So I've got about 20 different cultivars of mulberries, but this one is the most pick-friendly because it's short.
And what's the name?
Girardi Dwarf.
Okay, that's easy to know.
Yeah.
And then how many different ginkgos do you have? There's a whole house of them.
That's right. I probably have 50 different cultivars of ginkgos, and so I'll say something about this one first.
Okay.
So most people only want male ginkgos because they don't want the fruit. But in actual fact, if you've ever tasted the fruit, you realize it's an incredible delicacy. But the problem with ginkgos is that they don't mature sexually until they're about 30, unless you find a special anomaly, which I found, and I'm thrilled to death that I have found a very precocious female ginkgo, and I have a precocious male. But most people want some new ginkgo, and new ginkgos are coming out all the time. New leaf shapes, new everything. So this is one of my favorites, introduced by a fellow named Crispin Silva, and it's called Jagged Jade.
Wow.
Look at that leaf. It is fascinating. And he got a sport off that is a variegated Jagged Jade, which is called Crispin's Jaded Jester, and it's just beautiful. Both of these are small growers.
Nice.
Yes, because ginkgos, you think of, well, you know, that'll be 60 feet tall.
Right,
Wrong,
right, no.
wrong. These are among the small dwarf ginkgos.
Wonderful. Wow. And then what is this? It kind of just looks like a plant.
Well,
it's an
yeah,
important
it is.
one.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a gumi. This is Eleagnus multiflora.
Wow.
And this is the fruit. It's absolutely delicious. You wait until it's kind of wrinkledy and dark red before you eat it. But it's delicious.
They are delicious.
And they have millions on them. I mean, you can kind of pick them like
huge.
this.
Yeah, there were so many fruits.
Yes.
And so that's kind of a small shrub, a small multi-stem tree, or?
Well, only small if you think that 8 by 8 is small.
That's not bad.
Okay.
But you get lots of fruit. We like
lots
of fruit.
Yeah, tons of fruit. And the tree itself is beautiful.
Yeah, it is
Look,
pretty.
It's silver underneath the leaves. And this is the Tillamook cultivar.
Very nice.
And so that's, I like to have unusual fruits, and that's one of my unusual fruits. And now we're standing in front of a sort of a typical European smoke tree that is full of smoke and interesting.
Right.
Everybody notices.
Right,
it's
right.
interesting.
But
well, it's interesting. But my favorite smoke tree, by far my favorite smoke tree, is this, which is the American smoke tree. It gets a little bigger, but the leaves are translucent.
Oh, beautiful.
And in the fall, every leaf is a different color.
Oh, wow.
And you feel like you're in a cathedral with stained glass windows. It's just stunning.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
And so something different, like, because that's what you find when you come out to Whitman Farm. She has so many different trees, so many different kind of unusual fruits. So really go to our website. We'll click you over to Whitman Farm's website. They have a wonderful catalog. And also you can find your plants at One Green World and Portland Nursery.
Yeah.
And so, but you can also call for an appointment to come out and visit this gem. Thanks so much, Lucille. We've had a blast.
Oh, Judy, it was a pleasure. See you later.
We want to thank you for watching Garden Time today, and I'm going to take one more. William!
That's what you get for not sharing, Judy.
Well, we are so happy we could share this episode of Garden Time with you. For more information about today's show, please go to gardentime.tv.
Thanks for watching, so let's do this all again next week, right here on Garden Time. Don't you just love all the things inside Garden Time magazine? So much great information about gardening.
I do, William. There's new plants, adventures, recipes, local gardeners, home tips.
And it's free, right in your email. But there's two things you left out.
What's that?
You and me. We write some of the articles and get to share our gardening knowledge.
Of course. I should have. William, where did you go?
Right here, Judy. You'll find both of us every month in Garden Time magazine.
Sign up for your free subscription on the Garden Time website.
The proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.